Just like all of Donald Trump's other proposals, a thing he suggested doing this week would, of course, screw over his own voters in red states the most. We know that his immigration policies absolutely hurt red states the most by getting rid of their vital workers and sending industries into a tailspin because they do not have people to work for them. We know that his tariff plan will, of course, impact states like Texas more so than any other state. And Texas is the largest red state in the country by voting population. So everything Trump has suggested, actually getting rid of the Department of Education, screws over his voters the most. And as I said, this week no exception with his new proposal. Donald Trump was apparently angry at FEMA this week, so he got on Truth Social and called for the complete dismantling, getting rid of FEMA altogether. Here's what he said. FEMA spent tens of millions of dollars in Democrat areas disobeying orders, but left the people of North Carolina high and dry. It is now under review and investigation. The Biden-run, this is where he switches to all caps. The Biden-run FEMA has been a disaster. FEMA should be terminated. It has been slow and totally ineffective. Individual states should handle storms, etc. as they come. Big savings, far more efficient. First of all, FEMA has not abandoned North Carolina. They did not only give money to Democrat areas and ignore red areas. That's a complete and total fabrication from Donald Trump. Most of the areas are in fact red areas, and FEMA has been on the ground since immediately after that storm made landfall. So right off the top, he is completely lying to you about what happened. I know because I have relatives that were all along the storm's path, including in Lake Lure, North Carolina. So I know exactly what's been happening because I have been in contact with those people since the storm was basically barreling down on them. So I'm not going to sit here and let him lie when I know firsthand none of that is happening. Second of all, terminating FEMA. What would that do? As he says, leave it to the states. Y'all are on your own. You figure out how to pay for your natural disasters. So how does that impact red states more than it impacts blue states? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because the top 3 recipients of FEMA funds and FEMA assistance since the year 2015, so for the last decade, the top 3 states have been Florida, a red state, Texas, a red state, and Louisiana, a red state. So if Trump were in fact to terminate FEMA, his 2 largest voting blocks, the 2 largest Republican voting states, Florida and Texas, y'all are on your own. And obviously, since they receive the most funds, they have the most disasters. I mean, look, I've lived in Florida my entire life here. I know we have lots of disasters. It's kind of the price you pay for living, in such a nice beachfront community. It sucks, but all the locals down here understand it. And all the locals down here, immediately after a storm passes through, we go line up in those FEMA lines to get gasoline, to get water, to get assistance, to get money to go stay in hotels if our home is uninhabitable. That is what FEMA does. It lets us continue. We sign up. FEMA sends the people out to repair our roofs or at least put the tarps on them. So what happens when FEMA's gone? None of that can happen. You have a home that's uninhabitable and you don't have enough money in the bank to go stay in a hotel for 3 weeks? Well, deal with it. Sleep in the rubble if you have to. States aren't going to have money to pay for this. They're absolutely not going to have the money to pay for this. And if the federal government decides, well, instead of sending the funds through FEMA and then to the states, we'll just send it directly to the states. Same thing with the Department of Education I've been talking about. You start to write these big ass checks to these states and they just get like, holy crap, $1 billion? But you have to spend it on rebuilding. Oh, don't worry. Everything we spend it on will be classified as rebuilding. And then they will spend it on whatever the hell they want, and they will somehow justify like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, we used it to actually give a tax break to companies to move into the storm-hit areas to, create jobs. That is what will happen. If there is nobody looking over their shoulders, do you think that Greg Abbott in Texas or DeSantis in Florida is actually going to spend that money on their constituents? Hell no, they're not. They're going to use it, abuse it, and the people will be left with nothing. But that's what Trump wants, and it's likely what's going to happen. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.